Pack light, she said. This isn't a separation. It's a reset. Those were her exact words, printed on a post-it, stuck to my suitcase. Not a note. Not a conversation. A damn post-it. No call. No kiss. Just a neon yellow square and an Uber waiting outside our apartment building with my name on the screen. I don't even remember packing. I remember the silence. I remember the hallway echoing as I wheeled my bag past our neighbors' doors like some kind of shameful parade. Reset? Was I a crashed app now? Something glitchy she needed to force quit? I texted her from the car. One line. You sure about this? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then came her reply. I want a month without you. Please respect that. Respect. That word had become a weapon between us. She used it to end arguments. To kill emotion. To shut the door without slamming it. I should have fought back. I should have asked what I did wrong. But the driver turned on to I-76, and the city started fading behind me. So I did the one thing I never thought I would. I turned off my phone. For the first time in 7 years, I became unreachable. No Instagram. No bank account pings. No delivered receipts. No location sharing. She wanted a month without me? Fine. But here's where it gets weird. 5 days into my disappearance. No contact, no trace. My brother gets a call. Not me. Him. It's Celine, asking if he's seen me. She doesn't sound panicked. Just annoyed. She says I overreacted. Overreacted to what? Getting kicked out of my life like a bad house guest? But here's the kicker. While she's on the phone with my brother, her location pops up on our shared Google Drive account. She forgot I had admin access. One of the sync docs pinged her device. She was nowhere near our apartment. She was at a lake house. Not ours. And she wasn't alone. Because in one of the photo previews, one of those dumb auto-saved memories from her phone's camera roll that syncs by default, I saw something. 2 wine glasses. A man's jacket on the dock railing. And a shadow. His. On her. She wanted peace. She wanted space. She wanted him. That post-it was a lie. And I was done being the fool. What I did next, people call it cold. Some even say I went too far. But when someone deletes you like a corrupted file, you don't come back updated. You come back dangerous. The lake house. It wasn't on our shared list of properties. We didn't own it. We never even talked about renting one. So how did she end up there? And who was she with? I couldn't stop staring at that photo thumbnail, the one her phone auto-synced to our cloud storage. I never even told her I'd set that up. It was meant for emergencies. Shared docs, photos, calendars. She probably forgot it still ran in the background. That was her first mistake. I waited 2 more days. No contact. Not from her, not from anyone. It was like I'd evaporated, and nobody cared. Not even the woman who once cried when I surprised her with a playlist on her birthday. Now, she couldn't spare a text. I guess that lake breeze and someone else's jacket were more comforting than my silence. But me? I was done waiting. I booked a rental, a rusted-out pickup with barely enough power to climb hills, and I drove. I had no address, just coordinates from the photo's metadata. Buried in the image properties was everything I needed: longitude, latitude, and a timestamp that said 2:14 a.m. She wasn't just vacationing. She was spending nights there. It took 6 hours to reach the woods, and another 40 minutes on a gravel path that wasn't even listed on GPS. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became, like the forest itself was holding its breath. It was late afternoon when I first saw it. A modern glass cabin perched on a private dock, as if plucked from some influencer's feed. There were 2 cars outside, hers and his. I parked a few yards away, out of sight, engine off. I didn't go to the door. I didn't knock. Instead, I waited, watched, studied. I saw them laughing on the deck, wine in hand, like they were living in a world without consequences. She wore the sundress I gave her 2 anniversaries ago. The one she claimed didn't fit anymore. I guess it fit just fine now for him. They danced to music I couldn't hear. She twirled. He pulled her in. She kissed him like it wasn't her first time doing it. I clenched my jaw so tight I heard something crack. I could have stormed in right then. Screamed. Made a scene. But what would that do? Give her a chance to play the victim? Spin it like I was the unstable one? No, that wasn't my play. I took out my phone. Took a photo from the woods. Clear shot. Her in his arms. Both faces visible. No mistaking it. Then I disappeared again. But this time, with purpose. She wanted a month without me. Now she was going to feel what that really meant. I canceled our rent auto payments. Her card declined that night. I disabled her car's GPS access. I still owned half the account. I paused our joint streaming services, disconnected our Wi-Fi, and flagged our utilities as unauthorized occupant present. The power company emailed her a fraud warning. Oops. That was just the warm-up. Day 4 of her lake getaway, I got a text. Not from her, but from him. Hey, can we talk? That stopped me cold. He knew who I was, or at least knew I existed. But why was he reaching out? Then came the second message. She said you were toxic, that you vanished, that you abandoned her. But now I'm not so sure. Something's off. I stared at the screen, and I smiled for the first time in days. I didn't reply to him right away. I just sat there in that dingy motel room, rereading his words again and again. She said you were toxic, that you vanished, that you abandoned her. But now I'm not so sure. Funny, she wasn't even creative in her lies. Toxic, the modern magic word, the shortcut to erasing someone without questions. She must have practiced that line in the mirror, maybe even before I left. And now, the same man she was sneaking around with was texting me, asking for clarity. I finally replied, just 2 words. Then ask her. The dots appeared instantly. He was waiting. I did. She said you broke into the house, took money, stole her files, then ghosted. I only asked because some of her stories, they're not lining up. I didn't know whether to be angry or relieved. She wasn't just rewriting the story. She was printing an entirely different novel, one where I was the villain who left her broken and lost. I sent him the photo. No words. Just the shot I took from the woods, of them dancing, laughing, kissing. Full color. No filter. Her eyes closed in his arms, like a woman with nothing to hide. He didn't respond for a long time. Hours passed. The sun dipped, came back up. Still nothing. I assumed he blocked me. Maybe she showed up crying, spun some sob story, and convinced him I was stalking them both. Until 6:17 the next morning. A voice note. I hesitated. Played it. And I swear to God, I heard fear in that man's voice. Listen, Wyatt. You don't know me. I'm not trying to start drama. But I thought you should know. I checked her phone last night. I know I shouldn't have, but something felt off. Bro, there's this hidden folder. Locked with Face ID. She opened it before falling asleep. I watched her do it. Then she passed out drunk. I used her face to unlock it. What I found, it wasn't just photos of me and her. There were other guys. Multiple. Screenshots. Messages. Hotel receipts. Some of them, from when she was still married to you. I sat up straight. My chest tightened. He continued. I don't think you were the first person she did this to. Or the second. Man, I don't even think she's capable of telling the truth. She's been juggling people, telling each one a different story. I saw a draft email to another guy saying she was trapped in an abusive marriage and needed help escaping. That was dated 2 weeks before she told me she was divorced. Wyatt, I think you were her husband, not her ex. I dropped the phone, let it fall on the sheets like it was burning. This woman, the one I cooked for, paid rent with, bought vitamins for when she forgot, had built an entire identity out of lies. Not just cheating. This was psychological warfare. Gaslighting on a level that made you question your own timeline. And now I wasn't the only one questioning it. Her lover had seen behind the curtain. The problem was, I had no idea how far the performance went. Because if she could fake love that convincingly, what else had she been faking? That voice note lit a fuse in me I didn't even know I had. For weeks, I'd been playing defense, reacting to what she did, what she said, what she wanted. Not anymore. If she wanted a world without me, she was about to get exactly that, in ways she never imagined. But not before I pulled the first thread, because I still had access to her email. And in one of her draft folders was a message not meant for me, or him, or any of the others. It was addressed to a lawyer. Subject line: dividing assets, urgent before he returns. It's strange how one subject line can make your whole body go numb. Dividing assets, urgent before he returns. No greeting, no warmth, just cold calculation. Like I was a delayed train or a rotten tooth she couldn't wait to extract. She hadn't even filed yet, but in her mind, the story was already finished. I was erased, rewritten, maybe even replaced. The email sat in her drafts, unsent, probably waiting for the perfect moment. I don't know what made her hesitate. Maybe she was still gathering documents. Maybe she hadn't finished bleeding me dry. Too bad for her. She'd already made one fatal error. She left the wrong bank account attached to our shared cloud. It was an old one, a joint account we set up back when we still believed in budgeting and building together. She hadn't used it in over a year. I figured she forgot about it completely, but I didn't. And now, I had the login, the statements, and something else I hadn't expected. Transfers. Monthly ones. Small enough to avoid notice. A couple hundred here, 500 there. But they were consistent. Hidden under generic labels like subscription renewal and third-party services. I followed the trail. One led to a card I didn't recognize. Prepaid. Registered in another name. The address? A P.O. box in the city. One she once claimed belonged to a client. Now, I wasn't so sure. Then came the biggest shock. A wire transfer made last week, right after she sent me away, for $4,800. Labeled as storage unit lease settlement. I didn't remember us renting any storage unit. But apparently, she did. And now, so would I? I used the reference code in the transaction to trace the vendor. Turns out, it was one of those climate-controlled places just outside town, the kind people use for wine collections or art. High-end. Private. Secure. But I wasn't planning on knocking. I waited until 2 a.m., drove out there in the same dented pickup, and parked where the cameras couldn't catch me. I didn't break in. I didn't have to. She'd reused our old shared passcode. 0714. Our anniversary. I don't know what I expected when the door to the unit clicked open. Maybe old clothes, maybe junk she forgot to toss. But what I found was something else entirely. Inside was a full office setup. Printer, laptop, filing cabinet, folders labeled with names I didn't recognize, copies of legal letters, expense logs, phone bills, credit card statements. But they weren't hers. They were mine. Every call I made, every receipt I'd emailed myself, every flight I'd ever booked, all printed and organized like evidence. There were notes in the margins. Red pen. Her handwriting. Uses same ATM every week. Check connection to Layla. Possible affair angle. Unstable patterns. Could be used in court. I stared at the pages like I was reading the case file of a man already on trial. Only I hadn't done anything wrong. She had built a campaign, an entire fictional prosecution, to destroy me in court before I even knew we were fighting. She was prepping her exit like a corporate merger. Clean, efficient, and ruthless. But here's the thing. She forgot one thing. When you treat a person like a project, they eventually become a problem. I snapped pictures of everything. Every document, every note. I didn't take anything. Not yet. I wanted her to think the plan was still in motion. But back at the motel, I did something I hadn't in weeks. I called my lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Trevor Shaw. He was my childhood best friend's cousin. Cutthroat. Quiet. And very, very good at being underestimated. We hadn't spoken since I helped him move a sofa 6 years ago. But when I told him what I found, his voice didn't flinch. She's building a false narrative, he said. Trying to paint you as unstable, financially erratic, potentially unfaithful. She'll file fast, ask for a temporary restraining order, and try to freeze assets. But she's sloppy. How sloppy? I asked. He chuckled. Sloppy enough to leave her burner email logged into a shared cloud account. Wyatt. That's not just evidence. That's a roadmap. My voice cracked. She wanted a month without me. I think she was buying time to finish the ambush. Trevor paused. And now you've got a front row seat to her downfall. Quietly. Legally. Elegantly. I didn't smile. Not yet. But for the first time since she sent me away with that smug little post-it, I didn't feel helpless anymore. The courthouse smelled like varnish and cold coffee. It wasn't glamorous. No marble staircases or dramatic echoes like you see on TV. Just fluorescent lights, uncomfortable benches, and the kind of silence that wraps around your neck like a scarf you didn't ask for. I was sitting in the hallway, alone at first, fiddling with my tie, the same one she bought me for our 3rd anniversary. I almost didn't wear it. But something about walking into that building with her gift strangling my throat felt poetic. Trevor walked in 5 minutes before the hearing. He was dressed like he didn't care. Shirt slightly wrinkled, hair uncombed, but don't let that fool you. He's the type who wins cases because people assume he won't. That's his whole strategy. Show up looking like a public defender from a sitcom, then dismantle your entire narrative in under 10 minutes. She's here, he whispered. I didn't turn my head. I heard her heels first. Sharp. Purposeful. The sound of someone who came to win. Celine walked past me without so much as a glance. She was dressed like she was attending a magazine interview. Sleek blazer, soft curls, fake empathy practically painted onto her face. But something shifted when she reached the courtroom door. She saw me, and then she saw Trevor. Her expression flickered for just a second, enough to show confusion, then concern, then a thin veil of fear. That's when she realized she wasn't just walking into a formality. This wasn't going to be easy. She wasn't going to steamroll me with a stack of carefully doctored emails and teary half-truths. Trevor nodded at her. Nice to finally meet you, Celine. She blinked. Sorry, have we? You sent me a cease and desist once, he said flatly. Wrong address. I framed it. The silence that followed was thick enough to chew. Inside the courtroom, she put on a show. Her voice was steady, soft, like she was already the wounded party trying to hold herself together. Her lawyer read from a script, claimed abandonment, mental distress, financial negligence. She painted me as a man who disappeared, left her vulnerable, unstable. She said I was erratic, that I had emptied our accounts, shut off utilities, violated her privacy. She even brought up suspicious behavior with her lover, the one she now claimed she had ended things with out of guilt. It was a moment of weakness, she told the judge, eyes watering perfectly. But I was honest about it, and he used it to torment me. Trevor let her finish. He didn't object, didn't interrupt. Then he stood up, walked to the bench, and dropped a single USB stick on the table. What's that? Her lawyer asked, suddenly uneasy. Trevor shrugged. Just a little story of our own. The judge plugged it in, and there it was. The photo from the woods, the text from her lover, the synced files from the cloud account, complete with date stamps, location metadata, and more than one draft email to lawyers, lovers, and fake accounts where she impersonated me. Then came the receipts, the hidden bank transfers, the prepaid burner card, the fake evidence file she'd been building. One the judge paused on for a full minute before looking up and asking, Are you saying these notes were written about your husband? Celine's mouth opened, then closed. She glanced at her lawyer, then at me. She looked like someone who'd shown up to a poker game with all kings, only to realize we were playing chess. Trevor leaned in. We're not seeking damages today, but we are filing an injunction. The judge raised an eyebrow. Against her? Trevor nodded. And her co-conspirator, the one who helped her forge financial records. We've also notified the bar about the false evidence attempts. Celine turned pale. Her voice cracked. Wait, what is this? What are you doing? I stood slowly, looked her in the eye for the first time in weeks. This, I said quietly, is the month without me. Then I walked out. Not because it was over, but because I wasn't done yet. I didn't go back to the motel after court. I just drove. No destination. No plan. Just me, the cracked windshield, and a silence that didn't feel like punishment anymore. I'd thought winning in that courtroom would feel like triumph, like exhaling after holding your breath for years. But it didn't. It felt incomplete. Because people like Celine don't shatter all at once. They crack in private first, behind mirrors, behind closed doors, where no one can see. I didn't want her destroyed. Not physically, not even publicly. I just wanted her truth to collapse under its own weight. And apparently, I wasn't the only one. 2 days after court, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something in me said wait. When I picked up, all I heard was breath at first, then a voice I hadn't expected in a million years. Wyatt. It's Julia. Julia, Celine's best friend. Her ride or die. The one who stood by her at our wedding. Gave that overly dramatic toast about never letting a man dull your shine. The one who, for months, had looked at me like I was the cautionary tale in every bad relationship story. I didn't say anything at first. Just waited. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, she said. But I saw what happened. And I saw what she's been doing. I didn't know it was that bad until recently. My knuckles whitened around the steering wheel. Why are you calling me? There was a pause. Because I'm done covering for her. And just like that, the dam broke. Julia confessed everything. She said Celine had been building her exit strategy for nearly a year. That she'd been manipulating mutual friends to turn against me. Slowly, subtly, through stories laced with exaggerations. She claimed I was emotionally volatile, obsessed with control, prone to disappearances. She'd even planted stories that I was secretly cheating, that I had a burner phone, that I was hiding money. I didn't believe her at first, Julia said. But she was convincing. She had screenshots, voice recordings. I thought maybe you had snapped. I let out a bitter laugh. So you ghosted me, blocked me, didn't even ask. I know. I'm sorry. But I need you to hear this. She has a second phone. My chest tightened. What? Julia's voice dropped lower. She keeps it at her gym locker. Same lock code, just reversed. 4197 instead of 7914. That's the number she uses for whatever she doesn't want people finding. Dating apps, messages to other guys, bank alerts. There's even a Venmo connected to it with a fake name. Sasha Whitman. That's who she becomes when she needs to vanish. I had to pull the truck over. My hands were shaking. My whole body felt detached, like I was hearing someone else's life described. Julia wasn't done. She's been using me too, Wyatt. Asking me to lie. Asking me to tell her where you were when you vanished. She wanted to know if you'd started seeing anyone. I think she was scared you'd move on before she finished whatever this was. That part caught me off guard. Celine? Scared? No. She didn't get scared. She made people scared of her. I can get the phone, Julia whispered. I know her schedule. She's gone every Wednesday at 6 for hot yoga. If I take it, make a copy of the contents, and return it before she notices, you'll have everything. I hesitated. Why help me now? Another pause. Then, because I just found out she told her new guy that I was the one you cheated with. My stomach sank. She said I seduced you, that you were confused, that she forgave me. And him, he believed her. Julia's voice cracked. She's not just lying anymore, Wyatt. She's breaking people, and I won't be next. That was the moment I realized something. Celine hadn't built a web. She'd built a trap, and everyone she lured into it, friends, lovers, even me, we all thought we were dancing on her strings. But in truth, we were all just waiting to fall through. And now, she had no idea someone was about to cut one of those strings from the inside. I didn't sleep the night Julia took the phone. I didn't eat, either. I just sat in the motel, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above me like it was counting down to something I wasn't ready for. For years, I'd been obsessed with timelines, dates, events, when things shifted. But now, I wasn't sure I even knew where the beginning was anymore. Julia messaged me at 9:41 p.m. Got it. She won't notice. I'll bring you the copy in the morning. She followed it with a picture, the phone, unlocked, resting on her laptop, files being copied over. I zoomed in. My name was on 3 folders. Wyatt passed. Wyatt fallback. Insurance. Insurance? I didn't respond. I just waited. By 7:15 a.m. She knocked on my door. No small talk. No dramatics. She handed me a flash drive, sat on the edge of the motel chair, and folded her arms like she was bracing for impact. She had years of stuff on there, Julia said quietly. Photos, accounts, even voice memos. I only looked at a few. I didn't want to invade you. But Wyatt, one of the recordings. You need to hear it. I plugged it into my laptop. There were over 200 files. Some were labeled with names I didn't recognize. Dylan_panic call, Eli_spoofed proof, Jeffrey backup plan. All dated. All precise. But one folder was older than the others. Labeled only. Anchor. It had 6 files. The first was named Museum_2009. My stomach turned cold. That was the year I met her. I opened the audio file, heart pounding. Static. Then her voice. Younger, brighter, but unmistakably hers. Okay. He's talking to the guy at the front desk now. Cute. Shy. Seems like the type who reads everything on the placards. Might be perfect for the long play. Let's see. She laughed. Laughed. Not in a "this is sweet" kind of way. In a performance kind of way. He's asking about the astronomy exhibit. Yep, he's in. Going to drop my scarf in 3, 2. I slammed the laptop shut. Julia flinched. What is it? She recorded the day we met. Like it was a setup. A strategy. Julia nodded slowly. There's more. We listened together. I forced myself to go back in. The next file was a memo. Her voice again, years later. Tired. Detached. Like she was cataloging a file for some cold archive. Wyatt. Strong emotional loyalty. High tolerance for instability. Can be isolated with guilt. Stores sentimental items. Avoids conflict. Financially predictable. Weaknesses. Idealism. Responsibility complex. Inability to walk away. Recommend. Stretch patience. Establish superiority early. Delay affection. increases dependency. Final verdict, fallback grade. Fallback. That was all I ever was to her. Not a partner. Not a man. Just a piece on her board. A fallback grade husband. Someone to keep the lights on while she staged her next act. Julia put her hand over her mouth. I thought you should know what kind of plan this really was, she whispered. It wasn't just about the divorce. She's been doing this to people like she's collecting lives. We found evidence of at least 4 other men. One tried to propose. Another paid her rent for 2 years. Another left his wife for her, and then ended up institutionalized after she spun a story that he'd become obsessed. That one had a folder full of edited screenshots, images she'd altered to make herself look like the victim. All of it saved, stored, backed up. She kept these people on files. Notches on a belt. No, chess pieces. Moved. Sacrificed. Replaced. And here I was thinking our anniversary meant something. By 10 a.m., I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to fight her in court anymore. Not through lawyers. Not through revenge. I was going to walk straight into her new game, into the latest life she'd constructed, and pull the mask off while the audience still applauded. But not alone. Because Julia had one more revelation. She's throwing a party Saturday, she said. New job. New guy. New circle of friends. They think she's some survivor of a toxic marriage she escaped. She's told them everything you aren't. But none of them know what she is. My voice was hollow. Why tell me this? Julia looked me in the eye, for the first time without hate. Because I used to think she was the strongest person I knew, she said. Now I think she's the most dangerous. The invitation wasn't meant for me. It was a soft gloss postcard, white and gold with delicate calligraphy. A new chapter, celebration brunch. No return address. Just a date, time, and location. A rooftop bar downtown with panoramic views of the skyline and a reputation for overpriced cocktails. Julia slipped it into my hand that morning like she was passing me classified intel. She won't expect you, she whispered. They only know her side. They think she's the one who walked away. That was the point, wasn't it? That's how Celine always operated. Rewrite the story before the truth gets out. Be the victim before anyone asks questions. And this event? It wasn't just about showing off her new life. It was the final act, the performance where she proved she'd survived me. But today, I wasn't there to argue. I wasn't there to humiliate. I just wanted her to see me, not as the broken, discarded husband she told people I was, but as someone who stood up, walked away, and still had enough self left to live with dignity. I arrived 10 minutes after it started. Enough time for her to be comfortable. Cocky. The hostess stopped me. I said I was a guest of the guest of honor. She scanned the list. Wyatt, she said, surprised. You're on the list. My stomach flipped. She put me on the list. She expected me. Or maybe she wanted me to see her shine. When I stepped onto that rooftop, everything slowed. There she was, Celine, center of it all, laughing, glowing, perfectly dressed in cream and gold. She was surrounded by strangers, people who didn't know the folders, the recordings, the scorched earth she left behind in people's lives. She looked right at me, and for the first time, she hesitated. The smile faltered, just for a blink. But I saw it. Wyatt, she said, walking over like she was greeting a ghost. Didn't expect you to show up. I nodded slowly. I read the invitation. A new chapter, right? I figured I'd close mine. She tilted her head, trying to play unaffected. You look healthy. Freedom suits me, I said. Her eyes narrowed, searching. I could see the panic creeping in beneath the surface. Did I bring evidence? Was I here to confront her? Did I tell someone? But I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I didn't expose her in front of her friends. I leaned in, calmly, and said just loud enough for her to hear. I know what you did. Every lie, every file, every person you used. And I won't waste another ounce of breath on you. This party? It's not a new chapter. It's just the final page of a book nobody will reread. Her jaw clenched. You don't get to rewrite me anymore, Celine. I already left the story. And then I turned and walked away. It was quiet at first, but as I crossed the rooftop, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Then a voice. Wyatt. I turned. It wasn't Julia. It was someone else. A woman, maybe mid-30s, kind face, wearing a soft blue dress. I didn't recognize her. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I shouldn't interrupt, but I just overheard that. And I think you should know something. I dated her brother a few years ago. Celine told me you were dangerous. That you disappeared after stealing from her. I believed her. But you don't seem like that person. I swallowed hard. I'm not, I said. But she needed me to be. She nodded slowly. I'm really sorry. There was a pause. She looked at me, thoughtful, almost shy. You want to get coffee? Somewhere that doesn't charge $22 for sparkling water? I blinked and smiled. Yeah, I said. I think I do. We walked out of that party without looking back. And that's the thing about lies. They burn fast, but the truth? It builds quietly, brick by brick. In the end, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to ruin her. She did that all on her own. And I finally remembered who I was without her.